And the name was she is red, and the name that mine is red. And look at how she's crazy.
What's up, y'all? This is John and Caleb back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. Tonight, we're going through the best and most impactful games of week 2, but I'm going to go ahead and stop y'all right there. If you have not listened to the interview that we put out a few hours ago with Adam Spencer talking about Mizzou ahead of the border war, go check that one out.
Go listen to it now.
Right. As far as Mizzou people go, Adam knows the most. There's not a ton of Mizzou people. I know of legitimately 4 outlets that cover Mizzou to a degree that I would say, yeah, if you're trying to learn something, there's somebody to go listen to. But Adam is better than all of them. It just is what it is. He is the authority on Mizzou. And we talked to him ahead of the border war. He had me questioning some things that I was fairly certain about going into this game.
Isn't that what these interviews are all about?
Every single time. I don't know why I have anything written down in the outline of the game we do an interview about.
You're going to learn more about it as you go.
And I'm probably going to change my opinion. Call that MRAS, whatever you want to call it. And if you're new, I know I said it last week too. MRAS is something we coined like our first season doing the podcast, but we call it Mark Richt Anxiety Syndrome.
Yeah. I got a little bit of that this week with Georgia's opponent, to be honest with you.
Boy.
We're going to talk about it.
We are. And an Instagram page that you do some work with, Saturdays in Athens, they said they posted some like listener hot takes for the game this week. And it was like, Georgia has 3 guys rush for over 300 yards.
Yeah, I know. Nate Frazier gets 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I just saw that.
And
bro, do you know who we're dealing with?
And it's like, yes. There's another fight on the kickoff.
Love a good NFL rivalry getting chippy. Love it.
4 flags were thrown on this one. Love
Dang.
it. Perfect game to be the first of the NFL season.
For real. They should open with this one every year. Forget, do you really want to go watch the Browns play the Titans? No.
Never. Actually, I've never wanted to do that at any point in time.
Exactly. Or watch the Falcons play anyone.
Falcons Saints games, even if both teams are bad, they get a little crazy.
That's fair. Those get fun.
I think Falcons Saints might be the NFL game that's resulted in the most shootings.
Love it. I mean, it makes sense just based on the 2 locales those teams are from. Although you'd think Chicago might have a little something to say about that.
Well, look who their quarterback is now. Violence is not the answer anymore.
That is true.
Just paint a message on your fingernails.
There we go.
I don't even know.
Like a 13-year-old emo girl. We're not even. You haven't even asked how I've been and what I'm drinking yet. That's where we're at.
Okay.
We've gone off the rails already.
Yes. All right. So I know I say this all the time, and it's every episode until we get there. But you can catch us live on Millions on Thursdays. That is right now. Hopefully you're watching. YouTube live on Sundays, at the Rock House on Tybee Island for away games. That is next week is the first watch party. We are super excited about that. I went out and bought a 10 by 7 foot inflatable to put out in front of the Rock House. The decorations came in the mail today. We're super excited. We're getting ready for that. But if you can't get to any of those places, we're on Audio with Fans First Sports Network anywhere that you find podcasts. And if you want just a little quick hitter, like 5 minutes or so, I'm on Rock 106.1 at 6:15 on Friday afternoons. But more importantly than any of that, man, how you been? What are you drinking?
I have been good. My daughter and I decided today, with my wife having class, that we're going to make a tradition out of disc golf every Thursday.
Love that.
Because we hadn't been all year, or I say we, I hadn't been all year. Well, not all year, probably since February. It's been a while,
Yeah.
because stuff has been crazy. And so I guess last Thursday, my wife was just like, "Oh, what are y'all gonna do when I'm in class?" And I was thought about it, and randomly, when I'd picked my daughter up and brought her home the day before, she was like, "Oh, I see your disc golf stuff. We should do disc golf soon." And I was like, "Let's go do disc golf." And it's just a thing now, and I'm very much enjoying it. But because of that, and because it was a longer night than normal, where it's just me and the kid, I'm hydrating with some water. What about you? How you doing?
I've got a course sitting here.
Nice.
I bought a 30 pack recently and then went out of town like 4 weeks in a row. Um, so I have like 24 beers sitting in the fridge. I'm like, yeah, probably probably start removing some of those from the refrigerator. Uh,
Yeah,
just take up space.
fair enough.
Um, Ironically, Thursdays is normally one of the days that I also play disc golf, but um, with Adam not being able to record yesterday, as in Wednesday, for us, moved it to today and did not. But I'm thinking about taking my bag with me this weekend, and because I'm going to be staying in Athens, I've got a friend who's about to deploy with the army back to Europe. He's going to miss almost an
Okay.
entire football season in Europe again.
Mm,
Um,
yikes.
yeah, he missed the 23 season in Europe, and now he's going back. But we're taking him to the game this weekend, and he has started playing disc golf recently. So I am considering seeing if he wants to get up at a fairly early time on Sunday morning and go play Sandy Creek. They do like a doubles thing at Sandy Creek in Athens on Sundays. So thinking about seeing if
Nice.
he wants to do that, which that'd be fun.
Yeah.
So the Athens Disc Golf Club, I've met a few of those guys while they were on vacation and playing on Tybee, and they all tell me that I need to come out on a Sunday after a game. But on a Sunday after a game, waking up at 7:30 does not
Not
sound
usually
fun.
a great experience.
Right, but I'm staying in Athens this time, so I would have to get
Okay.
up at like 8, 8:30.
That's that's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Especially since it's a 3:30 kick. So,
Right. We are staying pretty close to downtown, so I'm not sure if I will be forcibly drug into some bars in Athens and
right.
force it to consume some alcohol. I don't know. Uh, but
Peer pressure is a hell of a thing. But
man, if I'm being entirely honest, part of me wants to like get some takeout and a 12 pack and go to the hotel and watch football at the hotel.
honestly, that's
Um,
the way to go. I'm
yeah.
going to be in Charlotte at a conference, probably during the game. So I will probably be trying to avoid spoilers and staying up late watching it in my hotel room.
I mean, that is also I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some actual football here.
Let's do it.
And so if y'all haven't noticed, the way we do these breakdowns is not by the importance of the game. We go in chronological order of how the day starts. So we're starting off with the game that I just in the last 20 minutes finished talking with Adam about, and that is the border war with Kansas coming to see some Comos naked. The line has changed. Every line that we have talked about has changed since I put them in the outline yesterday. Mizzou is currently favored by 6.5 points, over under a 51. And if I start putting numbers in the outline, it will start making the soundboard go off. So we're not doing that. But the border war is back for at least this year after Kansas was one of the most hyped 5-7 teams in the country last season, ending a number of Big 12 team title hopes. And then Mizzou had what was called a hollow and unrewarding 10-2 season in 2024. And I just want to say, because I think every time we talk about Mizzou, I go on this big long rant about how nobody respects Mizzou. Um, but it is still an accurate statement because here's a list of teams that had worse records than Mizzou last season and are still talked about significantly better than Mizzou is. Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, Texas A&M, who was one game away from playing in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and Florida. Meanwhile,
Some of these things are not like the others.
right, Mizzou 11-2, 10-2. Also, as Adam said just a little while ago, Mizzou is the last SEC team to beat Ohio State.
Oh, snap. You're right.
Yeah. It
Wow.
may have been the ugliest bowl victory of all time, but it was
Hey,
still a
win is
bowl
a win,
victory.
my dude. A win is a win. Just ask
Um,
Texas. They still talk about a certain bowl victory from 2018.
yes. While we're on the subject of Texas, quick note: I encountered a reasonable and funny Texas fan on social media today.
And then you woke up.
No, this you can check the Instagram comments for our who was number one longer.
Mm.
He said something about Ryan Williams running down the sideline the last time Georgia was number one, and I assumed he was an Alabama fan. So I said Diego Pavia was dropping f bombs, and Vandy was rushing the field last time Alabama was number one. And he goes, "I'm a Texas fan. I'm just trying to cope." And I said, "Oh man, Texas fans throwing their trash where it don't belong. Sounds right." And he said it was funny and liked the comment. So
There
a
we go.
reasonable Texas fan on social media, I didn't think they
That's
existed.
yeah, nice, self-aware, just having some fun with it. That's okay.
Yeah. But
What
anyways,
a what a pleasant surprise.
exactly. So I will say some of Mizzou's disrespect is for a good reason. I mean, Brady Cook is gone, Luther Burden's gone, Mookie Cooper's gone, Theo Weiss is gone, and most importantly, Cody Schrader ain't walking back through that door.
Facts.
But they did bring in Penn State's most explosive player on the offense from 2024, Bo Perbula. They brought in Ahmad Hardy at running back, 1,300-yard rusher from ULM. Kevin Coleman at wide receiver from Jackson State, and then Louisville, and then Mississippi State, where he did some pretty good things in the SEC last season. So returning Brett Norfleet at tight end. Mizzou has talent on the offensive side of the ball, but
Right.
they played Central Arkansas last week, and
Yeah.
they dismantled piece by piece, bolt by bolt, Central Arkansas. But that really isn't much
Yeah.
competition for where we expect Mizzou to go this year.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we saw what Ole Miss did with Georgia State after only being up 10 at halftime. You leave your starters in against those teams and try hard long enough, you can get to 60 points. So it doesn't tell us
well,
much.
so Mizzou did put in Sam Horn at backup quarterback for a little while, and he got hurt to the tune of potentially out for the rest of the season. Um,
Right. Right.
so that I mean that is pretty significant as well. But Mizzou so far in 2025, their season has consisted of clubbing baby seal. Just
Yeah. Fair.
no disrespect to I believe the 20th ranked FCS team in Central Arkansas, but they're still the 20th ranked FCS team.
Yeah.
And Kansas, on the other hand, has had two games, one against Fresno State and one against another baby seal that got clubbed. But after Kansas week 0 game, I think we were all confused a little bit about what made that game so lopsided, whether it was Kansas offense or Fresno's defense.
Yeah.
And then Fresno went and clobbered Georgia Southern in Fresno last week. Mike's bandwagon team, who he said was going to win the Sun Belt,
Yeah. Mm.
a little
Doesn't look.
tough there.
Yeah.
But I think Kansas was just that much better than Fresno. Like I'm not saying that Fresno is the best team, but I'm not saying they're as bad as we thought they were.
Yeah, clearly, because
Um,
we thought Georgia Southern had a very good chance to win that game,
yes, we
which tells
did.
you how low we were on Fresno State after that Kansas game, and really we probably should have just been a little higher on Kansas.
And as much as I believe in Kansas this year, Mizzou just finds a way to win these games.
Yeah.
Going back to Kansas State a couple of years ago, going back to almost LSU the next week, Mizzou just finds a way to win these games. And they are going to be without their starting kicker, which I do think is a very impactful injury for this game.
Yeah, you might need to kick a late field goal.
And I said I was going to change it talking to Adam, but I got to keep it just because of that kicker injury. Mizzou finds a way to win this game. I think there's going to be a number of times they looked outmatched with Kansas offense. And I know Mizzou has a really good defense, but their offense is going to be almost one-dimensional. Bo Prabula is going to get put in some spots where he's going to turn the ball over, but Mizzou finds a way to win this game, but they do not cover 6.5. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, is it me or is that 6.5 a little disrespectful to Kansas?
It is.
Like,
And it's gone up is the crazy thing because
that's wild.
Kansas is currently 2-0, playing a decent team in Fresno, and Mizzou's
and
total win total for the year is 7.5.
Yeah, and they're catching more than a full touchdown against a team whose defense struggled last season against every running quarterback that they faced. I mean,
Yeah.
Diego Pavia took them to overtime. Jalen Milroe crushed them. Lenora Stellers beat them. Even Connor Wegman ran all over them last year.
Which is saying something.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying Mizzou loses this game. I think SEC physicality wins out. But Vegas, a whole touchdown? Like, come on. Lines like this do make me wonder if Vegas knows something we don't.
Yes.
But
so Adam actually brought this up earlier, and I've heard it on some podcasts I've been listening to recently. Vegas puts the line where they're going to make money on both sides of it. So it's not necessarily who they think is going to win, but at which side they have even money so they don't lose.
Fair enough. But yeah, now we already talked about how this podcast kind of collectively decided Fresno State was bad, but then Fresno State did what they did to Georgia Southern. I will say Kansas was throwing nothing but screens in that week 0 game against Fresno State. Last week, they actually let Jalen Daniels throw it a little bit against Wagner, and it was fine. He did throw a very nice 62-yard deep ball to a wide open receiver. Aside from that, it was mainly still the short stuff, some slants over the middle, some screens, things like that. But Missouri, in clubbing the baby seal that was Central Arkansas, they did give up 4 yards a carry to Central Arkansas. So the Kansas run game might give them a bit of a hard time between Jalen Daniels and that running back who is a dog. But like you said, I just trust Missouri to win this game because the last few years you could trust Missouri to win the games that they should. But I do think it's more of a dogfight than the experts realize.
Yes. And, to be fair, it's entirely possible that we're all insane. And rivalry game, it doesn't matter. Because in terms of hatred, this rivalry game is up there with Georgia, Florida, the Iron Bowl, the game. Like, it's very slept on by SEC fans.
Oh, yeah.
But
there was a time where this one could have decided, like, in 2007, it could have sent a team to the national championship. Like Kansas, I think Missouri was number 2 or Kansas was number 2. One of them was really highly ranked.
Number 2 and number 3 in the country playing each other in week 13 to go to the Big 12 championship game and play for a national championship spot.
Right. Like, there've been some big deal games in this.
For sure. And it's not just one sport like some of these games are. But, I think that between this one and so this is a home and home, and then there's another home and home in the 2030s, I think, to start the 2030s. And I think SEC fans are going to learn a lesson with this game and the next one, and then later, because it would not shock me if there's a fight within the first quarter.
Oh yeah. Especially, I'm pretty sure more so on the Kansas side than the Missouri side. But you've got kids on these teams who wanted to go to these schools growing up and grew up knowing this rivalry.
Yes. And like so this was a rivalry so big that it used to be played at Arrowhead.
Hmm.
And at the time that it was played at Arrowhead, it was selling more tickets than Kansas City games in
In
Arrowhead.
fairness, Kansas City was also going like 1-15 at the time, but
Still selling more tickets.
yeah,
All right, so Mike's take on this one is Mizzou has won three straight in this series, albeit the last time they played was 2011 when they were both in the Big 12. I honestly still don't know what to make of either team, but I don't think Kansas likes to see Comos naked. I think Mizzou wins on a walk-off field goal by someone who isn't as interesting as the thicker kicker. Fair. And that's
fair.
not even the guy that's hurt.
Yeah.
It's Daniel Craig that's hurt, not the actor.
So James, I was about to say James Bond is hurt. Oh no.
James Bond is hurt. Um, and Mike's on the same page as I am. Mizzou wins, but Kansas covers.
Yeah.
All right. So talking about winning and the other team covering, at least in my opinion, we got USF at Florida, and this is Florida 18-point favorite. The
A lot of potential this game.
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to pull up the over under here. Over under 56 and a half, so it's gone up a half point just like the line has. Um, and here's a serious question. Which team did we learn more about last week? Florida team that beat Long Island by 55 or a USF team that beat the ranked Group of 5 team that made the playoff last year who returned most of their offense outside of Ashton Genty?
Yeah, I think we know the answer to that question.
All right. So I do think Alex Golesh, he was the offense coordinator at Tennessee the last time they had an offense that actually scared people. Side note there. Is building something serious in Tampa, at least on the group of 5 level. Is he going to regularly threaten some power or core 4 teams that are championship material? He did it to Bama 2 years in a row, so maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
and this is by far the best and most talented team that USF has had. And they almost beat Bama twice, including once in Tuscaloosa. But the biggest concern that I have for Florida going into this game is they allowed 1 sack and 11 tackles for loss against Long Island University.
Yep.
They're too busy thinking about humping the Sharks to make plays on them. And Florida did lose one fumble. USF was able to do some damage on Boise's line, getting 1 sack, 5 tackles for loss, and recovered 3 fumbles in that game. Biggest concern for USF is that Florida allowed 1.2 yards per carry on defense. I know it's Long Island, but
That's still a very impressive number.
exactly. And Florida did average 5.3 yards per carry on offense. Their offensive line is one of the strengths of the team. And USF was susceptible to some decently long runs. They allowed multiple 14-yard runs against a team that they more or less stuffed. Boise was not able to run the ball very well, with the exception of some explosive runs, and that's something that Florida did very well last week, albeit Long Island University.
Right.
I do think this one. I do think Florida wins this one, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than 18 points. Like we're talking 3+ possession game on this one. I don't.
Yeah, it's
I don't think USF is 3 possessions worse than Florida.
understandable. I do have to say I noticed a lot of Florida fans weren't super impressed with DJ Lagway last week, and I kind of get it. Like he had fewer yards per attempt than Gunnar Stockton, and unlike Stockton, they barely used Lagway in the run game, probably because they're just trying to wrap him in bubble wrap and keep him healthy right now.
Which is fair. I mean, if we're being honest, the
Yeah,
guy like he takes a step wrong and he's out for 4 games.
right. Now Jaden Baugh looked elite this past week. Looked like they just kind of told him to go. Sorry, I mixed my notes up in here. Yeah, I have been saying all offseason that DJ Lagway is good, so I'm just going to assume that they told him to go out there and not get hurt, rather than assuming something's wrong with him right now. Defensive front for Florida did look nasty in that game, and USF looked pretty good stopping the run too, even if they did give up a couple of explosive ones. And I thought they had a really good passing game as well. Not to repeat myself, I do think that ultimately SEC physicality wins this one. I actually lean towards Florida to cover for that reason, but it's Sunbelt Billy, so you never know. Especially if Sunbelt Billy is intentionally holding DJ Lagway back and just praying he doesn't get hurt. So this game might get interesting.
For sure. And so Mike says if USF wins, they're almost certainly a lock for the playoff. Fair.
Yeah.
If Florida wins, they should claim Gainesville as the real South Florida since geography doesn't matter in that state, or college football in general, if we're being honest. I'll be the contrarian and say Florida wins and covers. USF beating Boise the way they did should hypothetically be a wake-up call for Florida to take this game seriously, even with LSU coming up. They can't play like Sunbelt Billy looks missionary personified.
I think he's trying to say they can't be boring.
I thought he was talking about like the church missionary for a second.
Oh, no.
Okay. Nope.
Talking about the birds and the bees.
Oh, which one's birds and bees? I've never understood that.
I haven't either.
Mike says, like the Bama game last week, I wouldn't be mad if I'm totally wrong and Florida craps the bed and becomes the third best team in their state. Which, man, like
Fourth
outcome
at that
possible.
point. TBH, it would be fourth.
True. But yeah, no, and so funniest outcome possible. That is a social media series we're doing this season of the funniest outcome that could happen every week in college football.
Yeah.
Just
USF
because
beating Florida does make the list.
it absolutely does, and it's just because of how crazy last year was. Like,
Yeah.
because funniest outcome possible last year for specifically the week Georgia played UMass would have been Auburn beating Texas A&M in overtime.
Yep.
And immediately Alabama losing to Oklahoma to lose their spot in the SEC title game. And sure enough, boy, did that happen within an hour or so.
Yeah. I also thought about the funniest thing happening on a certain other week is that Ole Miss gives up their SEC championship game spot by losing to Florida.
And throwing 3 interceptions in the second half.
Yeah. So we're going to keep up with those because there's a good chance they happen if last season is any indication.
For sure. Oh, Jalen Hurts, another rushing touchdown.
Dadgummit, Jalen.
We're talking about Jalen Hurts. He did claim Oklahoma as the team in his intro.
As he should.
100%. Oh, and Trayvon Diggs is jawing with Jalen Hurts as Jalen is just jogging over to the sideline. The Cowboys being trashy. Some things in football never change. Anyways. All right, so we got Michigan at Oklahoma, and I know legitimately 30 minutes ago I just read all these lines off, and I still got to look them up. So we do have Oklahoma's 5-point favorites over under at 45. That has dropped a point. The over under has. And
it dropped?
Yes, it's 45 now.
Wow.
Yeah. The Sooners looked legit in week 1, led by John Material, went 30 of 37, 392 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, and added 24 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. The issue is they were playing against the best-looking Cardinal logo in college football, the Illinois State Cardinals.
That's true.
Mike put a note in here. He wants to know if they have teeth. They do not. All right, so I wasn't just joking about Louisville here. Illinois State legitimately has the best-looking Cardinal logo in college sports.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
So if you're unfamiliar, look them up because Louisville and Stanford have nothing on them. Yeah. But
Stanford's a tree.
Stanford is a tree. Why do they call them the Cardinals?
Who knows?
They should call them the CIA because that's who funds their entire university. But that's
also who invented birds.
Correct. 100%. So Michigan, on the other hand, played New Mexico, not New Mexico State. They played New Mexico, uh, and just played boring Sharon Moore football. I will say Justice Haynes, the trader, went off for 159 yards on 10 carries and 3 touchdowns, and none of the rest of my notes saved here. So, boy, I'm going to have to make a lot of this up because I had about a page and a half of notes.
Oh
Anyways,
no.
yeah, it just is what it is. I will say Bryce Underwood looked okay. He was not impressive. Um, and that's that to be, they paid almost $20 million for this quarterback to come to the University of Michigan. I get it. But you're going against one of the best, two of the best defensive minds in college football when it comes to Brent Venables and the defensive coordinator over at Oklahoma, whose name was in my notes. My concern for this game is that Bryce Underwood has no experience. While we're at it, Justice Haynes was in the three deep at Bama last year. He wasn't even necessarily in the two deep for most of the season, so he doesn't have a ton of experience picking up pressures that they're going to be bringing from all over the place on Bryce Underwood. He doesn't have the experience of being able to see different lines on the field of where he needs to be going, especially for these option routes that we know Sharon Moore likes to get off of play action passes. My concern about this game is that Michigan has no experience on the offensive side of the ball. But Oklahoma doesn't have any core four experience on the
Yeah.
offensive side of the ball. And, all right, their wide receivers were hurt last year. They got mental reps. Cool. You can say that all you want. It doesn't really matter if you're not actually playing. Jaden Ott, running back, he played for Cal last year. Was Cal a core four team in 2024?
Technically, but
Right. Debatable.
yeah,
Debatable. John Mateer, Washington State. Pac-12.
Pac
Mountain
two.
West plus.
Yeah.
Mountain West, but you have to get like the paid subscription to access is what they are. So
Right.
so nobody has experience on the offensive side of the ball going into this game. But at least Oklahoma has the game reps. They may not have it at the SEC or the Big Ten level, but they have the reps. So I think Oklahoma wins this one. And if I'm being honest, I think the defense puts them in position like they did against Alabama last year to score at least 2 touchdowns. And I think they cover.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of hype around John Mateer, and he looked very good last week. Obviously, I'm concerned about Oklahoma's run game, and I mean that on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Last week they rushed for about 3 yards a carry against Illinois State. Defense allowed close to 5 yards a carry to Illinois State. That's a big part of why Oklahoma only scored 35 points. Their defense couldn't get off the field. They didn't force a 3-and-out till the second half. Michigan, meanwhile, only allowed 1.8 yards per carry on the ground last week against debatably a better opponent than Illinois State and New Mexico. Debatably.
Yeah, very debatable.
Michigan ran for 6 yards a carry. Bryce Underwood looked pretty good in the pass game, but even if he does get rattled, as you would expect a freshman making his first big road start in the SEC to be, I think Michigan's ability to run the ball and Oklahoma's inability to get off the field on third down makes a difference. So give me the Wolverines and watch all the insufferable fans of Big Ten teams continue to act like the SEC is falling apart.
I do think it's hilarious how the SEC has kind of disbanded the SEC chant.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Big Ten, they don't do a Big Ten chant. But you have like Northwestern fans pounding their chest, being like, "Oh, the Big Ten's better than the SEC." Like,
We
calm down,
we
dude.
play
Mississippi State
nine
would dog
games.
walk y'all.
Yeah, we play y'all play cupcake games in November. Yeah, I would be shaking in my boots to play Northwestern in November.
Right. Give me Rutgers in week 11. Like that's not a warm up game for
Yeah, like that's
Georgia's
not the
fans.
exact same as playing Charlotte this year.
Yeah. Like man, Rutgers played a relatively close game against an FCS team in week 1. People aren't talking about it, but it happened. And
Yeah,
it's man, what are y'all doing up there?
right.
Are y'all just that cold? You only can think with one head. All right. So Mike said, I know I picked Oklahoma to go 11-1 before the season, but I started to drink Michigan Kool-Aid a bit. Moneyline Mateer did look good last week, but Michigan's defense is still probably elite, even though the score of the New Mexico game was closer than I would have liked. New Mexico's head coach was at Idaho the last few years and coached his ass off to get Idaho to 10 wins last year in the FCS. New Mexico scored a touchdown on a pretty sweet goal line fake. If Oklahoma wins, they're officially more of an SEC team than Texas and all the former Big 12 teams in the conference. I will disagree with that because Texas did beat Michigan at the Big House last year.
Yeah.
But there's an argument about that I'll listen to. I just need to be a better one. Uh, Bryce Underwood looked fine last week, but it's hard for a freshman quarterback making his first road start in an atmosphere like Norman. The announcers saying Bryce just turned 18 is new Ryan Williams is 17. Herbie will say it no less than 69 times on Saturday night. God, I hope not.
Me too. I was glad Ryan Williams finally became an adult so we could stop that talking point. We don't need to transfer it onto another person,
No,
please.
it'll be Austin Simmons got his bachelor's degree at 19 is what we're about to
Facts.
hear. With that said, Mike is picking Michigan to win outright because of the run game and Michigan finally being able to throw forward passes.
It is about time they've been able to do that.
If you ask Michigan and or Vikings fan, JJ McCarthy was perfectly fine at doing that, like 4 times a game.
Yeah.
All right, so the Georgia game, we're playing Austin Peay. And
Yeah.
you have a lot more notes written down than I do. Like I
You
said,
don't have anything written down at the moment.
well, that's because none of my stuff's saved.
Right. Fair.
But I did watch most of Austin Peay's game last week against Middle Tennessee State, and
Me too. Look at us doing our homework.
I wish I wouldn't have,
Yeah, I know.
because it looked like Austin Peay was the FBS team paying Middle Tennessee State to go play at their house. And to be fair, when Middle Tennessee State was FCS, this was a rivalry game. They talked about
Right.
it quite a bit. I'm really glad the commentary crew for that game is just an ESPN Plus commentary crew because one guy felt like he just had to yell everything.
I love those commentators.
I hate him so much. But no, so we kind of hinted at this last week. I think Austin Peay is better than Marshall. Marshall essentially gave himself a
Yeah.
death penalty last year. They're not a good football team.
No.
That is really more or less why Georgia did whatever they wanted for most of the game, and that's why Kirby went for multiple fourth downs early in the game. And that's why it didn't really bother anybody. Like, oh man, we had a 3-and-out because we tried some outside of the box stuff. Oh no, we have to punt this only up 35. No one cares.
Right.
That was a glorified practice. Austin Peay, while they are an FCS team, their offensive line looked good against Middle Tennessee State. And once again, I know it's Middle Tennessee State. I understand that. But
Middle
you don't,
Tennessee State might be a better team than Marshall.
might be, uh, and you don't create running lanes the size of pickup trucks without being good.
Yeah.
And that's what Austin Peay was able to do. Austin Peay got up so much in this game. I want to say it was 24-0 before Middle Tennessee State. The FBS team scored their first points of the game. So, like, I understand they might be an FCS team. And they 100% don't have the talent, they don't have the size, they don't have the physicality, they don't have the depth. If this game is close at halftime, do not be shocked. Yeah, I don't think any of us on the podcast are sleeping on Austin Peay, and I hope y'all don't either, because they are going to surprise you.
Yeah. Again, to reiterate, it's the first sentence in my notes too. Don't be shocked when this game is closer than the Marshall game.
Yeah.
Don't. They have a lot of good players on offense who transfer from the FBS level. Again, the offensive line has been really good at opening holes for the run game. I
promise I
notice.
did not read your notes and just
No,
reword them.
I believe you. We both watched the game and had the same opinions. I did notice the Middle Tennessee pass rush was able to push their line back and get hands on the quarterback a lot, even if they didn't always get home.
And the
Willing to
quarterback
bet.
has his internal clock is not great.
Yeah.
He was leaving the pocket earlier than he should have, and he was often, as a righty, drifting to the left, which is
not the way you want to do that.
Yeah, you either have to run or get sacked.
Yeah. And so, but I'm willing to bet them dogs is going to get home.
Yeah.
If Middle Tennessee was able to get that close. But Austin Peay's defense too. If you were disappointed by the lack of passing attack and are waiting for Gunner to sling it deep this week, hate to break it to you, we are probably focusing very heavily on the run again.
Mm-hmm.
We did it against Marshall because we wanted to prove we could dominate in the run game again since we were 15th out of 16 in rushing in the SEC last year. And B, Marshall ran a 3-3-5 with DBs playing deep the entire game. That's why we kept to the run. That's why Gunner was taking off and running so often instead of throwing the ball. That's just what works against that defense. Austin Peay's defense is pretty similar to ours, actually. It's a 4-2-5. But like Marshall, at least against Middle Tennessee, those 5 DBs were playing pretty deep. Sometimes the star would move a little closer, act as a linebacker, but they were mostly playing deep. So if they do the same thing against Georgia, the openings are going to be there in the run game and not necessarily so much in the pass game. That being said, they were able to go out there in a 4-2-5 with the DBs deep and hold the team, Middle Tennessee, both under 150 passing yards and under 50 rushing yards with 5 DBs.
Yeah.
And they did not allow a single third down conversion. So that tells me this is a really good defense. Then I watched the tape and it tells me they're also really physical. And they have a kid named Ellis on their team, which I love.
I love a double name.
Yeah. So Austin Peay might be my sleeper pick to win the FCS, to be honest with you. They ain't winning this game, but they will be a solid step up in competition from Marshall and give us a little physicality.
Yeah. And what's wild is they started the season in the FCS unranked and are still unranked.
Crazy.
Right. Like Central Arkansas, who we've talked about, got just demolished by Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed ranked. But Austin Peay, who beat an FBS team, still unranked.
Right. Yeah.
Come on now.
Don't understand it. Like, I get technically those games don't count towards the FCS records or whatever, but they should count towards the rankings if the rankings are there to decide the best teams.
I agree. All right, so Mike's notes. He said, I want a continuation of last week's stellar performance, balanced offense again. Freight Train didn't play last week because of hamstring, so we're going to guess that he's out this week as well.
Yeah.
Like Kaleb said, this game will feel closer, but I still expect Georgia to put out similar effort to last week.
Me too. FPE.
Don't put it past Kirby to be slightly less vanilla this week after he found out Derek Mason is the coach at Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
The team Austin Peay just beat by double digits. Yeah, I don't know if we talked about that. Middle Tennessee State was favored by 15.5, and Austin Peay beat Middle Tennessee by 20. So they
35 point flip.
They covered the spread the last week that Georgia didn't.
Yeah. So on that note, I'm glad there's not a line for this game.
Oh, yeah. But Mike says that he believes this is the only ESPN Plus game this season, so flipping between games is going to be annoying. Yeah, unless you pay $20 a month for ESPN's multi-view option.
There we go.
Or, honestly, pay $20 a ticket on Saturday morning and just go to the game.
Yeah, that's probably your best bet. You will probably actually be able to see if you do that.
I am actually switching a pick of
Yeah,
mine in the middle right here. All right,
I
best bets. My first one, and this is something that I'm going to take pretty much every week. I got Western Kentucky over for the game, and that's Western Kentucky at Toledo. I got over 59. Western Kentucky has put up 40 plus points in every game this year so far, playing some decent teams for them. I, is is the MAC team Toledo really gonna stop uh, Maverick McIver? I don't think so.
no.
I got Michigan at Oklahoma under 46. I really wanted to take the over in this game, but I think both of the defenses are really just too good. Um, 17-10 is entirely in the question for this, especially with the way that Sharon Moore is an offensive-minded head coach, hates offense.
Hmm.
He just hates points. And then the next one I got here is Georgia Southern at Southern California. Clay Helton revenge game, maybe. But I got the over of 61 points. I am in no way, shape, or form taking Georgia Southern to cover any line after
Fair.
seeing their performance at Fresno. Honestly, with playing two California games back to back, I hope they just did online classes this week.
And just
And
stayed in California.
yeah, like why are you gonna fly back to Statesboro? And
Yeah.
by that I mean fly to Savannah, drive the hour and some change to Statesboro, to like 3 days later, drive the hour and some change to Savannah, and fly back to California. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm.
And then I got UCLA at UNLV over 54.5. Neither team has a defense.
Yep. Although UCLA doesn't have an offense.
Correct. But if the other team doesn't have a defense, maybe.
Nico might actually stand a chance of achieving something. But can we
Right.
talk about how awful he was?
And
Did you
then
laugh as hard as I did?
after the game, he comes out and says, I don't know why everybody's so disappointed. Everything we want's still in front of us. My guy, no.
It's,
No, it
that's
is
as
not.
that is as big of a lie as Carson Beck saying he didn't have any control over the offense.
That's also, I mean, what we're talking about Carson Beck lying. The video that I sent you guys earlier of Carson Beck acting like he was in football prison at Georgia, where he lost three
Right.
games over 2 seasons, and talking about how Miami's so good, and then Mario Cristobal talking about how great of a guy Carson Beck is, and the team loves him. And it's like,
Just makes me sick. Just wait.
he's
Just wait,
he's
Miami.
clearly not.
Yeah.
Like
Ask
everything about
Hannah
him.
Cavender how good of a person Carson Beck is.
He cheated on a Cavender too
Yeah.
many times to count.
Yeah.
Publicly.
And she dumped him because of his personality.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it was every other week something came out about Carson Beck's Snapchat.
Yeah.
And you think come on now. Like, football aside, fandom aside, a guy that every other week goes viral because he's sending pictures of his genitals on Snapchat to someone who is not his girlfriend is not a good person.
Also, to the ladies who are participating in this with him, have you seen the man's face?
They all took screenshots and put them on social media.
Well, that's true. They were all laughing.
I don't think they were in it to win it.
Yeah. Well, apparently, whatever BBL he saw down there was very much so, but she must not have looked at his face very much.
They probably were distracting him to steal his Lambo again. Anyways, and then my last best bet of the week: Hawaii minus 6.5. It is an alternate line, but Hawaii minus 6.5. The alternate line's at minus 128. Sam Houston is traveling to Honolulu to play this game.
Yeah.
I'm taking Hawaii.
Fair. Completely fair. I did do the opposite of you in one respect. I am taking the over still in Michigan and Oklahoma. I thought about doing the under just because I think the Michigan run game is going to slow this game down so much, but I thought about it. You've got two quarterbacks in this game very capable of launching one for an explosive play at any time. I
and
think at
also
least a
launching
couple.
one to the other team at any
Well,
point in
that's
time.
well, that's true, and that could also go for a touchdown. So I think there's a touchdown potential for someone on every play. So I just feel like 27-20, for example, was very possible and could easily hit. Kennesaw State, Indiana. This line is 35.5 points. Y'all, Kennesaw State, speaking of running games, that has a good enough running game to slow the game down here.
For
And
sure.
Indiana only managed to score 27 on Old Dominion last week.
But
So,
Indiana canceled their game against a big opponent because they didn't need to. They didn't need to play big opponents.
yeah, we play 9 conference games. We don't need to play big. We're doing it the SEC way. Oh, LSU played Clemson and Texas played Ohio State and
And
Auburn played
Alabama
Baylor and
played Florida
Tennessee
State.
played Syracuse. Oh well.
And Georgia was
Yeah,
supposed to play UCLA until they paid to not play Georgia.
yeah. So those comments he's been making, by the way, just scream 2024 Florida State to me. So yeah, give me Kennesaw State plus 35.5. Kentucky, I'm a believer, guys. Plus 9.5 against Ole Miss.
Are you a believer in this game or in Zach Calzada? Because those are
No,
different conversations.
nobody should believe in Zach Calzada.
Okay, all right.
But the Rebels' last 4 matchups in Lexington have either been decided by 3 points or fewer, or have been blowouts in favor of Kentucky. We know better than anyone it's hard to beat a motivated Kentucky in Lexington. And after getting the better of Lane Kiffin last year, they won it again. So I just feel like Kentucky plus 9.5 is going to hit. And if it doesn't, oh well. But that would also be very funny. And then this bet's going to be familiar. It's going to be a weekly feature. I'm taking the Oregon team total over 38.5. It is an alternate total because I'm a pansy. Minus 170 for here. It's against Oklahoma State, though. And the reason I'm doing this one is simply because Todd Grantham is the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State. The original total is 42.5. That just felt too high to me, but they're going to score a lot of points, so I just got it down to 38.5.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you on that. And so Mike is Wisconsin minus 38.5 over Middle Tennessee. Derek Mason sucks, and Wisconsin needs to clean up before going to Tuscaloosa.
I should have thought to look for whoever Middle Tennessee was playing this week. That's a good shout.
Yeah, fair. Fair. I also didn't think about that. And then Mike's got Georgia Southern plus 28.5 at USC. The Eagles started looking ahead at halftime last week and let Fresno have a charity win. Clay Helton revenge game. I want them to win, obviously, but that's a tall task.
Mike, I love the confidence. I love how last week you believed in them and they got steamrolled, and you still believe in them. That's a it's a true bandwagon fan right there. I love that.
Yes. All right. So for my bandwagon team, Baylor, they're playing at SMU. I think Baylor gets their first ranked win of the year. I know that they're not like they're the underdogs in this game, and I don't care. I do think that Baylor is a good team. I just think that Auburn with a running quarterback was just a little much for them in week 1 this year. I do have Baylor winning that game in whatever SMU stadium is. If it's really that difficult of a place to play, I'd know what it's called.
Yeah. Speaking of, gosh, I wish this Eagles Cowboys game weren't so high scoring when he has 3 Eagles players on his team and I have the Eagles defense.
Oh, Saquon touchdown.
Yep, saw that. Yeah, losing 36-4 right now. Joy. Anyway, speaking of bandwagon teams, I did add a 5th best bet to my bets this week to make it even with you, because my bandwagon team, Duke, is also going to get their first ranked win of the year. They are hosting, yes, they are hosting the Illinois Fighting Illini. They did finally get things together last week against Elon Musk. I know it looked bad as we were recording. It got better. So I am riding high with them. Again, they are catching 2.5 points against Illinois. Go ahead and take those points and get yourself a significant amount of money back in return for doing so. Duke is the future of the ACC. Forget Florida State. Forget Miami. Forget Clemson. Forget all of them. Duke, baby.
All right, y'all. That's gonna do it for this episode. Watch out we are getting some new t-shirts designed for the watch parties this year. If you want one in person, you got to be at a watch party at some point this year. Every away game, and Florida. I keep forgetting to mention that we will be hosting a watch party for the Georgia Florida game. It'll be the world's like fullest indoor
Indoor.
cocktail party.
Is that
But
what we're gonna call it when the game moves to the bins for a year or two?
maybe.
Yeah.
But we got some new t-shirt designs coming out for that. You will post them on social media once we get them. So if you want one, send us a message there and we'll figure it out that way. But we're super excited about the watch parties. It is next week. As you're listening to this, it is the September 13th, but it is all away games. So y'all make your way down to Tybee on one of these fall weekends. Make it a little weekend getaway. Come hang out with us. We're walking distance to some hotels, some condos. It's going to be a good time. But as always, remember there's nothing finer in the land
Than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan.